In 2023, a woman waiting at a train station in Portland, Maine saw something that made her world tilt. A young woman with a small boy, maybe 4 years old. The boy tripped on the platform edge, scraped his knee, and his face crumpled like he was about to wail. The young woman dropped to one knee right away, steady hand on his back, voice soft and automatic. "Take a breath first." The waiting woman felt the words echo inside her chest. Without meaning to, she whispered the rest under her breath. "Then cry." And the young woman, still focused on her son, finished it in perfect sync. "Then cry." She didn't look up, didn't notice the older woman frozen 10 feet away. She just comforted the boy, lifted him, and walked off toward the stairs, vanishing into the afternoon crowd. The older woman stood there, heart hammering, because those 4 words weren't common. They weren't from a book or a show or some random parenting tip. They were private, a family thing, something she'd said to her own daughter thousands of times, starting when the girl was tiny. A daughter who had disappeared from a playground 22 years earlier. This is the story of a little girl taken in a moment, a mother who carried the weight of 2 decades, and how a simple, comforting phrase, meant to calm a scraped knee, became the thread that pulled everything back into the light. September 2023, Portland train station, Maine. Elena Harper stood on platform 3, waiting for the 4:15 to Boston. She made the trip every month to see her sister. Friday down, Monday back. Routine. Comforting in its sameness. At 52, Elena had lived alone for most of her adult years. Her husband had left 4 years after their daughter vanished. The grief had been too heavy for him. For Elena, it became something she carried quietly, like a stone in her pocket she never quite put down. The platform had the usual mix: suits with briefcases, students with backpacks, parents juggling kids and tickets. Elena stayed near the edge, people watching the way she always did. About 10 feet away, a young woman, mid-20s maybe, kept an eye on a lively little boy darting in circles. He was excited, full of that boundless 4-year-old energy. Then he tripped, hands out, knee scraping concrete. His lip trembled. The young woman knelt instantly, calm, practiced. "Take a breath first." Elena felt ice slide down her spine, those exact words, same gentle rhythm. Before she could stop, the second half slipped out of her in a whisper. "Then cry." The young woman, wiping the boy's knee, said it right along. "Then cry." She rocked him a little, murmured something soft Elena couldn't catch, then stood, took his hand, and headed for the stairs. Elena didn't move at first, just stared. Her pulse roared in her ears. That phrase, "take a breath first, then cry," had started with her own mother when Elena was small. Elena had passed it to her daughter. Every time the girl fell off her bike, got scared at the doctors, woke up from a bad dream. Kneel down, hand on the shoulder. Take a breath first, then cry. Let the feeling come out, then it passes. It was theirs. Private. No one else. Her legs started moving before her mind caught up. She followed toward the stairs, trying to keep them in sight. But the terminal was busy, people rushing, announcements overlapping. By the time she reached the top, they were gone, swallowed by the crowd. The 4:15 to Boston announcement came. Final boarding. Elena didn't board. She stood in the middle of the terminal, scanning faces, heart still racing. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe the phrase wasn't that unique. Maybe she'd heard it somewhere years ago and forgotten. But deep down, she knew. She'd never heard it anywhere else, never seen it written, never shared it outside the family. It was too specific. Too much the same, the pause, the tone, the exact wording. She walked home in a daze, sat at the kitchen table with tea she didn't drink, tried to talk herself out of it. 22 years of hoping can twist your mind, make you see signs where there are none. But the certainty wouldn't leave. That young woman had said it the way only someone taught by Elena's family would say it. Someone who had known her daughter. That night she pulled the old box from under the bed, the one she hadn't touched in years. Photos of a 3-year-old with blonde curls and bright blue eyes. Missing person flyers faded at the edges. Police reports. Notes from search parties. Elena spread them out, looked at the little face, tried to picture what it would look like now at 25. Impossible. Too many years gone. She went to bed, but didn't sleep. The next morning she went back to the station. Same time, same platform. Watched every family, every child. Nothing. She went back the day after. And the day after that. A week of waiting at different hours. Morning commuters, afternoon shoppers, evening travelers. No sign of the young woman or the boy. If you've ever chased something impossible through crowded places, you know that quiet desperation. Elena knew the odds were tiny. Knew she might never see them again. But a small, stubborn part of her refused to let go. Because if it wasn't coincidence, if that phrase had been passed down, then the young woman was connected to her daughter. Had to be. September 2001, 22 years earlier. Portland, Maine. Anna Harper was 3 years old and obsessed with the playground at Deering Oaks Park. Swings, slide, sandbox. She could spend hours there. Elena took her every Saturday afternoon when the weather was good. Push on the swings, watch her dig in the sand, sit on a bench with a book while Anna chattered to herself. On September 8, 2001, they arrived around 2 p.m. Sunny, warm, late summer perfect. Anna ran straight to the sandbox, plastic shovel in hand, already building. Elena settled on a bench 15 feet away, close enough to see and hear everything. The park had other families. Kids, laughing, normal Saturday sounds. Around 2:45, Elena needed the restroom. The building was about 50 feet off, out of direct sight of the sandbox. Anna was deep in play, piling sand, talking to her toys, not wandering. Elena hesitated, then decided. 2 minutes, 3 at most. Anna was safe, focused, happy. She walked over, used the facility, washed up, came back. Gone for 2 minutes and 50 seconds, according to the police timeline later. The sandbox was empty. Anna's bucket and shovel sat there. But Anna was gone. Elena's stomach fell away. She called Anna's name, ran to the sand, spun in circles looking. No answer. She checked behind trees, around the slide, behind the restroom. Nothing. Panic rose fast. She started shouting Anna's name, asking other parents. Had they seen a little girl, 3, blonde, blue eyes, pink shirt? No one had. No one remembered anything unusual. She called 911. Police came quickly. Dogs, officers spreading out, knocking on nearby doors, checking streets. Nothing. Detective Sarah Klein took the lead that evening. Interviewed Elena carefully. Timeline, family situation, any threats, disputes? Elena said no. Anna's father had left when she was an infant. No contact since. No custody issues. No enemies. Just a normal family. Surveillance from nearby stores showed little. The park had no cameras then. Streets had spotty coverage. Witnesses were focused on their own kids. No one saw anyone approach Anna or lead her away. The case went cold in months. No leads, no evidence. Anna had vanished in under 3 minutes. Detective Klein was gentle but honest. Most stranger abductions, if that's what it was, are resolved fast or not at all. After 6 months, chances drop sharply. Elena refused to stop. Flyers across the city, then the state. Hospitals, shelters, other departments. Years of searching. Hope wore thin, became habit. Eventually, she had to live with the not knowing. But she never stopped wondering, never stopped carrying it. Until that day on the platform in 2023, when a stranger said the impossible words. And everything started again. The young woman Elena had seen on the platform was named Norah Ellis. At 25, she lived a quiet, ordinary life in a small house on the edge of South Portland with her husband, Mark, and their 4-year-old son, Liam. Norah worked part-time at a local daycare center, teaching 3- and 4-year-olds colors, shapes, and how to share. She loved the job, loved the way small hands reached for hers, loved the way their faces lit up when they figured something out. She had always been good with children, patient in a way that felt instinctive. Norah had grown up believing she was born in Portland in late 1998. Her parents, Michael and Laura Ellis, had told her she was adopted as a baby through a private service. They explained it when she was 6 or 7, in gentle words. Her birth mother had loved her very much, but couldn't keep her. And Michael and Laura had waited so long for a child. Norah was their gift. She accepted it without question. She had a happy childhood. Birthday parties, summer camps, school plays, good grades, close friends, a normal teenage life. But sometimes fragments appeared in dreams or in sudden, unexplained feelings. A woman with soft hands and a different voice. A park with tall trees and sand under her fingers. A yellow sundress she could almost feel against her skin. When she was little, she would wake up crying for Mommy in a way that confused her parents. They would hold her, say it was just a dream, say she was safe now. Over time, she learned not to mention it. The dreams came less often. The memories, if they were memories, faded into the background. When Liam was born, something shifted. Holding him for the first time, Norah felt an overwhelming need to protect him, to make sure he always felt safe. And when he got hurt, bumped his head on the coffee table, scraped his elbow on the sidewalk, she found herself saying things without thinking. Little rituals to calm him. One phrase came most naturally. Take a breath first, then cry. She would kneel, hand on his back, voice steady. He would take a shaky breath, let the tears come, and slowly calm down. It worked every time. She didn't know why those exact words felt so right. They just did. Like muscle memory from a life she couldn't quite recall. Norah never connected the phrase to anything specific. She assumed she'd heard it somewhere. Maybe from her own mother, maybe from a teacher, maybe from a parenting book. It didn't matter. It helped Liam. And that was enough. Back in September 2023, 1 week after the train station, Elena Harper sat in the Portland Public Library every afternoon. Same computer terminal near the windows. Same cup of lukewarm coffee. She had no name, no face to search for. Only the memory of a young woman saying 4 words the exact way Elena had said them to Anna. She started where she always started when hope felt thin. Research. She pulled up newspaper archives from 2001, the year Anna vanished. Read the old articles again, the ones that had once given her hope, then taken it away. Then she widened the search. Not just missing children anymore. She looked for stories of children who had appeared suddenly, with unclear pasts. Found children wandering alone. Children left at hospitals or churches with no identification. Children enrolled in schools with paperwork that raised small questions, but were never followed up. She found a handful of brief mentions from 2002 to 2006. A 4-year-old found in a park in South Portland in early 2002. No family claiming him. A toddler brought to an emergency room in 2003. No records, placed in temporary care. A little girl starting preschool in 2004 with a birth certificate issued late. None of them led anywhere obvious. But the ages overlapped with Anna's. The locations were close. The timelines were tight. Elena wrote them down. 5 cases in the greater Portland area between 2002 and 2006. All young children, all with incomplete or delayed documentation, all quietly placed with families. One might be chance. 5 started to feel like something else. She kept digging. expanded to public records she could access online, vital statistics summaries, annual reports from the city and state, birth registrations by year, delayed filings. Most children are registered within days or weeks of birth. Delayed registrations, months or years later, are rarer. Usually international adoptions, home births without immediate paperwork, or foster children being formally adopted. Elena filtered for children born around 1998 to 2001, but registered in 2002 to 2007. The numbers jumped. In 2002 alone, 12 delayed registrations for children in that age range. 2003, 9. 2004, 11. Over 5 years, more than 40 cases in a city the size of Portland. Statistically high, unusual. She printed the reports, highlighted the clusters, felt her pulse quicken. This wasn't proof, but it was a pattern, something organized. Something that might explain how a 3-year-old could disappear in broad daylight and never be found. Because someone had given her a new name, a new birth date, a new life, Elena knew she couldn't access sealed adoption files or private records. She needed help. She sat in the library feeling stuck, staring at columns of numbers that hinted at something huge, but offered no way forward. That's when the man sat down at the next terminal. He was in his late 70s. Cardigan, reading glasses on a chain, quiet way of moving. He glanced at her screen. Articles, statistics, notes scribbled in the margins, then looked at Elena. After a moment, he spoke softly. "You're looking in the right direction, but you're missing the context." Elena turned. "Excuse me?" He adjusted his glasses. "Thomas Reed, retired from the city's vital records office. 28 years. I saw you here every day this week. Same searches, same look on your face. I've seen it before." Elena hesitated, then asked if he could help. She showed him the delayed registration numbers, the cluster after 2001. Thomas studied the pages, nodded slowly. "I can't give you names," he said. "Privacy laws, sealed records. But I can tell you what those numbers usually mean." He explained that small spikes in delayed registrations happen. Immigration, clerical errors, legitimate private adoptions, but 40+ in 5 years, concentrated in one area with many children in the toddler range? That wasn't normal. In his time at the office, clusters like that sometimes pointed to informal or irregular placements, agencies that moved fast, paperwork created after the fact, families who asked few questions because they wanted a child so badly. Thomas showed her how to pull more detailed public aggregates, monthly breakdowns, age at registration stats. They spent an hour at the computers. By the end, Elena had a clearer list, 51 delayed registrations between 2002 and 2008 for children born 1998 to 2001. More than half listed no hospital of birth or listed small clinics that later closed. Several had birth certificates issued by the same notary service that no longer existed. Thomas leaned back. "This is public data. Numbers don't lie. But to connect them to real people, to see if any match a missing child, you need law enforcement, someone who can request the sealed files, run cross-checks, talk to families." Elena thanked him, gathered her printouts. For the first time in 22 years, she felt like she had something solid. Not hope exactly. Hope was too fragile. But direction. That afternoon, she walked into the Portland Police Department. First time in 2 decades. The desk sergeant recognized her name immediately, led her to a small office. Detective Sarah Klein was 59 now, gray at the temples, still in missing persons. She had worked Anna's case in 2001, remembered every detail. When Elena sat down and said she had new information, Sarah listened without interrupting. Elena told her about the train station, the phrase, the young woman, the boy. Then the research, the patterns, the delayed registrations, the retired clerk's input. She spread the statistics across the desk. Sarah read them slowly. Her expression changed from polite attention to something sharper. She asked questions. Timeline, exact wording of the phrase, how Elena had searched. When Elena finished, Sarah sat back. "This isn't nothing," she said. "The phrase could be coincidence, but the numbers, that's a red flag. If there's a pattern of irregular placements tied to the year your daughter disappeared, we need to look at it seriously." Sarah explained the next steps. She would reopen Anna's file, not as a cold missing child case, but as possible long-term abduction with identity change. She would forward the statistical data to her lieutenant for review. If it looked strong enough, they would bring in federal help. FBI field office in Portland had a unit for crimes against children, including historical unlawful adoptions and trafficking networks. Elena asked how long. Sarah was honest. Weeks to get approval, months to build anything solid. These cases move slowly. Paperwork, warrants, interviews. But if the pattern holds, we can request access to sealed records from that period. Cross-reference with missing reports. We might find matches. Elena nodded. She had waited 22 years. She could wait longer. As she left the station, the September light was fading. Across town, Norah Ellis was picking Liam up from daycare, buckling him into his car seat, listening to him chatter about finger painting. She kissed the top of his head. When he whined about being tired, she smiled and said, without thinking, "Take a breath first, then cry." He did. And for a moment, everything felt right. But somewhere in the quiet machinery of the world, pieces were starting to move. October 2023. 3 weeks after Elena walked into the police station with her printouts and statistics, Detective Sarah Klein sat in a small conference room at the Portland FBI field office. Across from her was Special Agent Maria Torres, mid-40s, calm voice, sharp eyes. Torres had spent 12 years in the Crimes Against Children unit. She had seen cold cases reopened before. Most led nowhere. But the delayed registration data Elena had compiled caught her attention immediately. Torres spread the pages across the table. 40-plus delayed registrations in a 5-year window, many for children aged 2 to 4 at placement, multiple overlapping with the Portland metro area, several tied to the same notary or small agencies that no longer exist. Statistically, this is an outlier. Sarah nodded, and one phrase that matches exactly. The mother says it was never shared outside the family. The young woman on the platform said it the same way. Same cadence, same pause. It's thin on its own, but combined with the pattern. Torres tapped one of the highlighted lines. It's enough for probable cause to request access to sealed adoption and vital records from that period. We can narrow to agencies active 2001 to 2007. Cross-reference placements with missing child reports from the same time frame. If there's fraud or unlawful transfer of custody, we'll see it in the discrepancies. The request for a federal warrant went in that week. Supporting documents. Elena's statement, the train station description. No name yet, but physical details. The phrase as a potential identifier. The statistical anomalies. Summaries of 6 other unresolved missing child cases from Portland area public places between 2000 and 2006. All toddlers, all brief windows of inattention, all no witnesses. They waited. Elena spent the days in a strange limbo. She went to work. She still worked part-time at a bookstore. Made meals, answered the phone when it rang. But every time it was silent too long, her mind went back to the platform, to the boy's scraped knee, to the young woman's voice. She tried not to build castles in the air. 22 years had taught her caution, but the possibility was alive again, flickering like a candle she didn't dare blow out. Across town, Norah Ellis continued her routine. Liam started preschool 3 mornings a week. She dropped him off, kissed his forehead, watched him run inside with his backpack bouncing at work. She read stories, sang songs, wiped noses. At home, she cooked dinner with Mark, helped Liam with bath time, tucked him in with the same lullaby every night. Normal, steady, safe. Sometimes the old dreams returned. Brief flashes of sand, swings, a woman calling her name in a voice that felt like home. She would wake with her heart racing, then shake it off. Dreams were dreams. Her life was here. November 2023. The warrant was approved. Agent Torres and Detective Klein spent 2 days in a secured records room, pulling files. 53 sealed adoption and delayed birth registrations from 2002 to 2008, matching the age and timing criteria. They sorted methodically. 34 looked routine. Complete paperwork, known agencies, hospital births verified later. 11 had minor inconsistencies, delayed hospital affidavits, notarizations from defunct services. 8 raised red flags. Birth certificates issued weeks or months after supposed placement, no prenatal or hospital records, agencies that had dissolved under vague circumstances, adoptive families who had paid significant private fees and asked few questions. Torres pulled the 8 suspicious files. 3 were boys, ruled out immediately. 5 were girls. They cross-referenced against missing reports from 2000 to 2003. 1 file stood out almost immediately. Norah Ellis, née placement name, Norah Grace Ellis. Delayed birth registration, October 15, 2001. Listed birth date, March 18, 1998, making her approximately 3 years, 7 months at placement. Physical description at placement, blonde hair, blue eyes, small crescent-shaped birthmark on left upper arm. Adoptive parents, Michael and Laura Ellis. Agency, Horizon Family Services. Closed 2005 after owner retired. No public complaints, but records showed rapid placements 2000 to 2004. Anna Harper disappeared. September 8, 2001. Born April 15, 1998. 3 years, 4 months old. Blonde hair, blue eyes. Small crescent birthmark on left upper arm noted in every missing person flyer. Timeline. Disappearance to registration. 5 weeks. Torres compared photos. The 3-year-old Anna in Elena's old pictures had the same round cheeks, same wide-set eyes. No definitive match without DNA, but the resemblance was strong enough to prioritize. They needed confirmation. Direct approach to Norah would be too disruptive without certainty. Better to start with the adoptive parents. That afternoon, Torres and Klein drove to the Ellis home in South Portland, a tidy 2-story house, flower boxes still blooming in late fall, child's tricycle on the porch. Laura Ellis answered the door, mid-50s, warm smile that faltered when she saw the badges. She called for Michael. He appeared from the kitchen, drying his hands on a dish towel. Torres spoke carefully. We're investigating historical irregularities in some private adoptions from the early 2000s in the Portland area. Your daughter Norah's records came up in our review. There are some questions about the documentation from Horizon Family Services. We'd like to speak with you about it. Laura's hand went to her throat. Michael stepped closer. What kind of questions? Torres explained without accusation. Possible inconsistencies in paperwork. Delayed registration. Need to verify identity through voluntary DNA testing. They were not alleging wrongdoing by the Ellises. Many families in similar situations had been misled by agencies. Michael asked quietly, "Are you saying Norah might not have been legally placed?" "We don't know yet," Torres said. "That's why we need the test. We have a reference sample from a long-term missing child case. If it matches, we'll know. If not, we close that line and move on." Laura's eyes filled. "We were told everything was above board. We waited years. The agency said the birth mother had signed relinquishment. We paid fees, legal fees, they said. We never suspected." Torres nodded. "We understand. We're not here to judge. We just need the truth. For everyone. They agreed to cooperate. Norah was at work. They would not tell her until the agents returned. Torres left contact information and asked them to keep the conversation confidential for now. At 5:15 p.m., Torres and Klein returned. Norah's car was in the driveway. Liam's booster seat visible through the window. Laura opened the door, eyes red. She's inside. We haven't said anything. Norah came to the living room holding Liam on her hip. He was playing with a toy truck, oblivious. She looked puzzled. Mom? Dad? Is everything okay? Torres introduced herself and Klein, asked if they could speak privately. Norah set Liam down with Laura in the kitchen with snacks and cartoons, then sat on the couch. Mark arrived home minutes later. Michael called him in. Torres explained gently. Investigation into old adoption practices. Norah's file had inconsistencies. Need for DNA testing to rule things in or out. Mentioned a missing child case from 2001. A mother who had never stopped looking. Norah listened, brow furrowed. When Torres said the name Anna Harper, Norah went still. That's not possible. I'm Norah Ellis. My parents adopted me as a baby. I've seen the baby pictures. Torres asked if Norah had ever had unexplained memories. Dreams that didn't fit. Norah hesitated. Sometimes, a park, sand, a woman's voice. But my parents said it was probably from before the adoption. Foster care or something? I don't remember clearly. Torres asked about the phrase. When Liam gets hurt, you say something to calm him. Take a breath first. Norah finished automatically. Then cry. Her voice cracked. How do you know that? Torres explained. The woman at the train station, Elena Harper, had heard it, recognized it instantly. It was her family's phrase, said only to her daughter Anna, never shared elsewhere. Norah looked at her parents. Laura was crying quietly. Michael took Norah's hand. We didn't know, sweetheart. We swear. If this is true, we still love you. You're still ours. But you deserve to know. Norah stared at the floor. I need to know. Torres swabbed Norah's cheek, sealed the kit. Results in 3 to 7 days. We'll call as soon as we have them. The room was quiet after they left. Norah held Liam when he ran back in, buried her face in his hair, whispered the phrase to herself like a question. 4 days later, the lab called Torres. 99.97% probability of parent-child relationship between Elena Harper and Norah Ellis. Torres called Elena first. We have a match. It's her. Elena couldn't speak for a long moment. Just breathed. 22 years. Dissolved into tears she hadn't known she still had. Torres called Norah next. Confirmed the results. Asked if she was ready to meet Elena. Norah said yes. She needed to see the woman from her dreams. The meeting was set for November 18th, 2023, at a neutral place, a counselor's office downtown. Therapist present. No pressure, no expectations. Elena arrived 20 minutes early, hands shaking. She sat in the waiting area, clutching a small photo album, pictures of Anna at 3, at birthdays, holidays, things she had saved. Norah arrived with Mark. Liam stayed with Laura. Norah looked pale, nervous. When she stepped inside and saw Elena, time seemed to pause. Elena stood, looked at the 25-year-old woman and saw echoes of the toddler she had lost, the curve of the jaw, the way she tilted her head when uncertain. The therapist guided them into the office. Let them sit, gave space. Elena spoke first, voice soft. I've waited 22 years to see you again. I never stopped looking. Not once. Norah swallowed. I don't remember much. I'm sorry. I wish I did. Elena shook her head. You don't have to. You were so little. What matters is you're here. And there's something I need you to know. Something that made me sure. She opened the photo album to a picture of Anna at 3, in a yellow sundress, laughing in the park. Then she looked at Norah. When you were hurt or scared, I would kneel down and say. Norah's eyes filled before Elena finished. She whispered, "Take a breath first." Elena nodded, tears falling. "Then cry." Norah completed it with her. "Then cry." The room was silent except for soft crying. Norah reached out. Elena took her hand. They talked for hours. Slowly, carefully. About the past Norah couldn't recall. About the life Norah had lived. About Liam. About what came next. Norah said she needed time. Needed to process. Elena said of course. She had waited 22 years. She could wait as long as Norah needed. In the months that followed, they met again. And again. Norah brought Liam one afternoon. He called Elena Grandma after the third visit, shy at first, then easy. Norah looked through old photos, heard stories, laughed at things Anna used to do. One day, when Liam tripped in the yard and started to wail, Norah knelt beside him, hand on his back. "Take a breath first, then cry." He did. Calmed, looked up at her with big eyes, and for the first time, Norah knew exactly where the words came from. They came from love that had never stopped. From a mother who had carried her in every breath for 22 years. In June 2024, Norah legally changed her name to Anna Norah Ellis Harper, a bridge between two lives. She kept her parents, Michael and Laura, in her life. They were still family. The love wasn't erased. It was expanded. And Elena finally had her daughter home. Not the 3-year-old she remembered, but the woman she had always hoped Anna would become. If this story reminds you of anything, let it be this. Some things survive longer than memory. A phrase, a ritual, a mother's refusal to let go. Sometimes the past finds its way back. Sometimes the lost are found. And sometimes, after decades, a simple breath and a few tears can bring everything full circle.